I come in contact with so many different women from so many different, walks of life, but we all have this one thing in common. We're women, we're moms, we're on a path to make a change and to continue to feel valuable and work in roles in which we are continuing to grow.
Welcome to Flip Your Script, the podcast about life's critical turning points and how people find the inspiration and motivation to move forward and rewrite their unique stories. Flip Your Script is produced by Media Minefield, a public relations firm passionate about the power of sharing stories. Specializing in earned and social media, Media Minefield helps clients take control of their unique story and message. The show is hosted by Kristi Piehl, founder and CEO of Media Minefield, who flipped her script from an Emmy-winning journalist to a successful entrepreneur and speaker.
Chandra Sanders says she's the queen of pivoting. She went from Spanish teacher to Fortune 100 tech consultant. The single mother of three lost her job in the early days of the pandemic, and now she's working to provide economic opportunities to 10,000 women in the next 3 years. Chandra, welcome to the Flip Your Script podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Your story is so interesting and it's gotten some publicity this year. And I want to go back to the early days of the pandemic because all of us experienced that and dealt with it in different ways. And you're one of the people, like many working moms out there, that got significantly impacted emotionally, mentally, financially. So tell me what those early days were like for you and your family.
So honestly, I thought I was safe during the pandemic, right? Like I didn't get laid off right away, but right when I least expected it, I got a call saying that my project was going to be cut. And me being single mom of 3 kids, being the sole breadwinner, the head of household, all of that, like everything falls on me. So I knew that I had to remain positive. I knew that nothing was going to be put on me that I couldn't bear. But I also knew that I needed to get to work to see that, find a job, find a good job that I could still work and take care of my kids, but also something that fit with my life. So I wasn't like grasping for just anything that came to me. I had to just remain in a state of positivity and allow the perfect job to come to me. And that's exactly what happened. I couldn't imagine that I would be where I am today last year at this time.
So you said a couple things really interesting. First of all, you said you were willing to wait for the perfect job to come to you, which when people are in a state of chaos and panic and confusion, which was last spring and summer 2020, how did you have the wherewithal to be patient?
You have to first believe in your abilities, believe in yourself, have confidence, and know that you're top talent, no matter what industry you're in, but also just having faith that everything is going to work out. I feel like that's my rock. Like I know that no matter what I go through, good or bad, that it all is going to work out for my good. So honestly, my faith is my rock. I know that nothing's going to be put on me that I can't bear. So I had to honestly stand in that every day, listen to motivational videos, say words of affirmation in order to remain in that headspace.
And that's not a hypothetical say words of affirmation. Like you literally would say positive things and it's a practice for you watching videos, putting yourself around positive things and not going to a space of negativity and filling your brain with negative things. Is that true?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a couple of years. Like I said, like you said, I've had people around me to help fuel my motivation, fuel my faith. And I believe that plays a part in a lot. So it is a practice, but it's not impossible. You have to start somewhere, right?
So you find yourself, in the middle of the pandemic, no job, 3 kids, making a decision that I'm going to find the perfect job. I'm not going to settle and I'm going to be patient. How did you do it? Like step 1 is Google perfect job. I mean, how do you even start?
So I've been a consultant, so I know I know how to find a job, right? I know the different boutique consulting firms to look for, different staffing companies to go for, and just really how to do a targeted search for what I know that I want, right? I want remote work. I want flexibility. I want something in which I can use all of the skills that I've I have, right? So I have my skills range from being a Spanish teacher to starting online learning programs at different universities to also leading product development at tech companies. So I have a wide range of experience, which is another reason why I wasn't completely stressed out, because I feel like I can almost do anything, right? So I had a targeted job search, but also just constantly reminding myself that something is going to work out. It's going to come for me. So it only took 3 weeks. I applied for probably 100 jobs, right? I may have gotten called back for 3 out of 100, but you can't let that deter you from moving forward.
Excellent insight about finding the perfect job doesn't mean applying for one job. It means getting clear on what you're looking for. And this can apply to your relationships. It can apply to your profession. But when I talk about my non-negotiables, because when I was laid off, I made this really targeted list of not the industry I wanted to get into. And I had no idea that this business would come out of some of this work, but it was really about what am I not going to do anymore? What are my non-negotiables? And you mentioned some things for you, remote work. You got really clear about the things that this job needed to do for your life and not just profession. We get so, especially I think as moms, we get so wrapped up in thinking, okay, my work is over here and my family's over here. But that's not how the world works. It all has to work together. And if your profession doesn't make you a better parent, then you got to find something else to do. That's my perspective.
No, it's totally mine too. So my whole world opened up. A new world opened up for me, right? I haven't worked in an office since 2017 when I had my last kid. He's 4 years old now, almost 4. But that just allowed me to experience work and family life in a different light. And I would never want to sacrifice my mental health, the mental health of my kids, the happiness of my kids, just to earn a living. And so that was just something I just, I wasn't going to go back to a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 in an office 40 hours a week while, not having time with my kids. So.
And over the last, 12 months, many, many parents, specifically, all the studies will show that it specifically impacted women. And I have a stat that I want to share with you that you may or may not have heard, but the Census Bureau reports 1.6 million women with school-age children who were employed before the pandemic are no longer employed. So women took the brunt financially of the pandemic, and these studies and the stats are alarming. And I fully respect any man, woman who chooses not to go back to work. I think what's really sad is that women have felt forced to step out of the workplace, and that is going to impact generations in my perspective.
Women were definitely forced out of the workforce, right? Most of them because we're working in non-flexible roles that we could not do remotely. And you didn't have time to truly try to transition to a new job or nothing. Everything just kind of came at the drop of a dime, and we had to make a choice to either work or take care of our kids. And our kids are our most important commodity, right? And so they were going through things at that time too, right? It wasn't just the moms, but we had to make sure our kids were safe. And so we sacrificed a lot. We faced the brunt of the impact from the pandemic, right? But all is not lost. Like I meet women all the time who were either laid off or had to quit and are now trying to get back into the workforce. But what I'm seeing is that some companies don't want to offer flexible roles right now. They don't want to offer remote opportunities right now. I think that they will once they figure out their workforce is leaving, but it's hard right now. No one really wants to say, yes, we're going to fully remote. Yes, we have flexible work. And it's making it hard for women to get back into the industry and survive in roles and careers that they've been doing for 20 years. And so some of them are having to take lesser roles, lesser pay in order to truly get back, get some experience so they don't have that huge gap.
And you found yourself, as we've talked about, as one of these statistics, and then found the Mom Project. And talk about what the Mom Project is and how you turned a search into the perfect job.
Yeah, like I got laid off. And again, I'm in positive mind state, searching for jobs, applying for jobs. And I came across the Mom Project. And of course, I'm a mom. I've, in many roles that I've had to hide the fact that I was, or try to hide the fact that I was a mom, try to hide the fact that I was a single mom, and also try to hide the fact that I'm a woman of color. Right. And so when I found the Mom Project, it was just a place where I automatically felt a sense of welcome, a sense of belonging, a sense of community, because I wasn't alone. I was with other moms who were working, and not just, working in retail or whatever, but working like, really nice, high value jobs. Right. But they were offering opportunities that fit with my life. And so I applied for a couple of jobs on the platform, but then I got a call directly from the Mom Project 3 weeks after being laid off.
And now you're helping other women, and this role has turned into what you're working on with Rise. So can you share what that is, please?
Yes, of course. So with Rise, it's a scholarship program for mothers, for women of color to gain access and certifications to highly sought after skills. But not just that, we're offering motivation, right? We're offering the support, the community, in order to really help women bounce back wholly, right? Not just with your job, but also just on a personal level, right? So I am having an impact with women, trying to get them to reskill, because that's what I did. I've made many different career transitions to get where I am. No one says you have to stay in one thing for 30 years anymore. My mom was a retired school counselor for 35 years. I could never imagine being one thing for 35 years. And so we are here to truly make career pathways, new pathways for mothers, for women of color to truly take care of their family, integrate their life, and feel valuable at work and at home.
So important. And I spend a lot of time talking to young women in colleges, at universities, that age group. And it is so interesting because I don't know that the message is necessarily resonating with them yet, that whatever your major is and whatever you think your plan is, 100% guarantee it's not going to be a straight path. And you're going to look back 35 years from now and say, I didn't see that coming. So it's taking these little steps, but it is really difficult mentally for these women. And I'm interested in your perspective, since you talk with them, the women who believe, and it's true for me and my television news career that I was laid off from, you think this is what I'm going to do, and this is who I am. I'm this job, and this has defined me. And then you lose it, and you lose more than just a job. You lose this plan, you lose the future. So that happened, as we talked about, hundreds of thousands of times in the last year. So part of your role really is in the mental health psychology, just talking about it's grief. You grieve for a profession and a future that isn't going to happen.
Exactly. I mean, again, I come in contact with so many different women from so many different, walks of life, but we all have this one thing in common. We're women, we're moms, we're on a path to make a change and to continue to feel valuable and work in roles in which we are continuing to grow, right? We want to ensure that growth is something that continues to happen. I personally never wanted to be stuck, whether that is in a job, like you said, a relationship, whatever that is. I was going to do everything I can to ensure that if a swift economic shift happens, just like it happened during the pandemic, that I was able to continue to stand, move forward, and find something to do at a high level so I can continue to grow personally, but also take care of my kids.
It's really a mindset, isn't it? It's a mindset that change is inevitable, and enjoy today because you have today. But tomorrow might look really different, and you have to be mentally prepared to pivot.
Definitely mentally prepared to pivot. And I feel like, again, it takes some work. It's about a growth mindset. Whatever comes to you or whatever may come to challenge you is there to not just challenge you, but help you grow. You just have to get over it, right? You can't let it stump you and keep you stuck. And so it is that having that growth mindset to know that the cup is not half empty, right? It's half full. So go fill it up with something else.
And your children, as we've talked about, the mom part of your life is your number one job. So how do you teach your children to have a mindset that change and struggle and pivoting, all part of life and all really important to get you to the next step?
My kids, which is what I love, they've been able to see different iterations of mom. They saw mom as a Spanish teacher. They saw mom working at a university, a few universities, right? They saw mom own a kids boutique. They've seen mom do so many different things. And I'm seeing the same thing happen in them. They are digging into themselves to see, oh, I might like this. Let me go try this. Let me go try this. Let me go get some more skills. I have an 18-year-old who is spending some time at a pharmacy, working in a pharmacy this summer to see if that's what she wants to do. She's starting college in the fall for pharmacy, right? To be a pharmacist, letting her get some experience to see if this is what she wants to do, right? It's all about experiencing things. My kids from 18 to 4 are just like me. And what they do today, they love today, but then they're hungry for more, right? They're not just stuck in a box.
Which is a really interesting way to think about it, because so many parents, and perhaps it's generational, but once you say you're going to do something, let's say it's T-ball. You went out for T-ball, darn it, you're going to finish it, because otherwise you're a quitter. So how do you teach them to stick with things and not be a quitter, but still have a flexibility? Because I think we all have worked with or come in contact with adults who feel like, well, I didn't like this today, I'm out. It's like, hey, you might have a hard day. It doesn't mean you just like walk away from it. So how do you navigate that? Because it is such kind of it's two shades of the same color, really.
It's definitely two shades of the same color. It takes a little bit of practice, but you have to get some experience and really like strengthen yourself, strengthen your mind, strengthen your discipline. Discipline is very important, right? Yes, we want to try different things, but you have to be disciplined. But you also want to ensure that you remain happy in whatever you're doing, right? You're not quitting everything because you're disciplined, but you also want to remain happy. If I see my kid, for example, playing soccer and she's enjoying it, but then all of a sudden, she hates it, and I'm going to, try to push her to continue. But if it gets to where she's crying before every game and just completely miserable, that doesn't make me happy. And so then I will, allow her to change course, not quit, but you're going to find something else. Right.
Right. So take the energy and not turn it into sitting on the couch playing video games, but right. What else productive could you try and see if you like that? Because so much of childhood, I mean, let's be honest, so much of life is experimentation and exploration, and it's an adventure, if that's where your mind is. And you talk a lot about, motivation and happiness and positivity. And there were a lot of people in the last year who losing a job is one thing, losing family members. I'm in Minneapolis. The racial reckoning that happened here and the conversations that are happening, man, it's hard to find joy in moments. So how do you think about things that are really difficult that have happened?
So many things happen, right? I mean, we've got the pandemic. We've got the George Floyd killing. We've got the pandemic that honestly, I know 30 people who have lost their lives to. And that's me personally, 30 people is a lot of people. But again, it's a mindset. You have to be strong. Yes, it's okay to break down, but you just have to continue to be strong and move forward and not let what's going on around you get inside of you. That's the only way out.
Don't let what's going on around you get inside of you. So take a moment, grieve, find the sadness that is appropriate, but don't let it live there. Let the joy live there and deal with the sadness as a moment, and let the joy be the mindset.
Turn the pain into power.
How have you talked to your children about that? Because 30 people dying, that's more than a classroom in an elementary school. That's a lot of people. And George Floyd's murder, all the things that have happened, it's been so many significant shifts in our culture, in our conversation. And in the midst of that, mom's finding a new job. How do you have time to mental capacity to have those conversations when you yourself as a woman are struggling too? Your kids got to eat.
I feel like, yes, we have to have the conversations, but for me, it's more about action, right? I want my kids to see me. I'm going to model the behavior for them, right? Yes, we have these conversations. We're seeing what's going on television, but now they see me out here speaking and helping other people. right? So yes, we have all these things going on, but that doesn't mean that we have to internalize everything and then just turn our backs on the world, right? It's our responsibility to help make the world a better place, help society change for the better. And honestly, all of my kids are doing it. The 4-year-old, he's not there yet. But all of my kids are little activists. Like, it's really cute that they're already honing into themselves, their skills as not just students, not just in learning, but also, just having a positive impact on society and their friends.
You said something that I want to touch back on, which is the conversations are important, but we also need action. So spending time just talking about things or just pontificating without going out there and taking an action. And an action is not a social media rant.
Right.
An action, because a lot of people are doing that and it's so polarizing. An action is getting out, talking outside of your home with people and actually doing things to help others. That's how you would define that, correct?
That's exactly how I would define it. We're not just going to sit here and rant on social media. We're not going to sit here and complain. We're going to do something about it.
Whatever that might be, whatever spectrum wherever you live, do something about it. Take action. As you talk to these women with the Mom Project and all the different folks that you interact with, what's your concern for working women and families as you look 5-10 years from now? What kind of impact do you think what we've lived through the last year will have as we look forward?
My ultimate concern right now is preparing women for digital transformation of the future, right? If you don't get any type of digital skills training right now, you probably will not be working in 10 to 15 years. You just can't wait to take the action. It's about action. You see what has happened to so many people over the last year, and so many people have spent 20 years doing one thing, and now it's really hard for them to find a job, right? Because everything is moving to more digital, more tech. If you don't get these skills now, and we're allowing ladies to come and get them, at no cost, we're removing that cost barrier for them. If you don't take advantage of this opportunity now, I'm not sure what's going to happen in 15 years.
So there are people who may not have ever heard the term digital transformation training that you just talked about. Can you get more specific about what kind of skills you're talking about and what kinds of things people need to learn?
Yeah, of course. For example, UX design, all these new products that are being built, right? They have to be designed for the user experience, right? So that's an extremely important skill. Project management is another great skill. That's where my skill is, right? So you can use project management across different industries. It doesn't have to be tech. It could be pharmaceutical. It can be so many different things, right? But that's a great skill to have because you can transfer easily into something more tech, more digital with that. Also, we have Salesforce. A lot of companies are using CRMs platforms, right? So you need those skills to be able to really honestly get a job anywhere in order to be successful, continue to be successful. So having skills such as data analytics is another one, right? These are skills that are not just going to be useful today, but are going to be more useful in 10 to 15 years.
So it's thinking about getting skills that can transfer in different industries. So no matter what happens in the world, industries change, economies change, global impacts of the economy change. If you can have some skills that can go in different industries, you then won't spend years without a job.
I am a firm believer. This is exactly what I've done for myself. Again, started off as a high school Spanish teacher and got some more skills, some online tech skills, project management skills, and product management skills. And I still want to I'm looking now to see what else I want to get, right? Because I don't want to be left behind. If you don't get any type of digital skills, you'll be left behind.
And how are all the things that we've talked about, this is all magnified, the challenges, the difficulties, more challenging for women of color. What concerns and fears or advice do you have for women listening who are really concerned about the future for them and their families? Because they've seen the stats. Women of color have a more difficult time in their professions, in their industries. Fewer women at C-level, fewer women running companies, harder to get money. I mean, it's disturbing.
It's really disturbing. And I'm speaking from experience. There are so many times I've been the only woman in the room, definitely the only Black female or male in the room, only person of color there, right? But I feel like now we're in a better place because society is actually noticing what's going on and really trying to make a difference and diversify the pipeline, right? Which is what the Mom Project is doing, right? We have created a reskilling program for moms and women of color. We are making connections with companies who are looking to diversify their pipeline and hire the ladies who are graduating from our program to truly help fill that extreme representation gap within certain areas. So we are making those connections. The Mom Project has the community. Just come on over to the Mom Project. We will do everything that we can to help get you trained and placed in a role that is going to value you as a woman, as a mom, and as a woman of color. Because there is an extreme representation gap, right? So we're doing our best to help fill that gap.
What has happened in the conversations around diversity, inclusion, equity? It's so wonderful that the conversations are happening. What concerns me personally is when I see companies who are out there checking boxes. It happened with women in the past. Now it's happening with people of color. And I'm concerned that we're setting people up to fail because we're looking to, check boxes. And I was just talking with someone who said that they were on a board and the board is all white men. And then there's one woman and now there's one person of color and they both feel like they're there, not for anyone to listen to them, but so that they can check the box and say that, okay, well, look, we're diversified, so we're good. Even though those people don't have actually any say, any power, any impact. So how do we get to the point where it isn't just a conversation and it is something where people aren't just around the table, but they have a voice at the table?
For me, if I'm at a table, I'm going to use my voice. And if my voice can't be heard, then that's not the space for me.
Find a new table.
Yes, find a new table, find a new door, find a new place, find where go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. And that's my motto, right? And I've literally been the only Black person in almost everything I've ever done, but I have never been quiet. I have always advocated for myself and for people who are just like me. And I'm continuing to do it, and I'm able to do it now at a larger scale. But I recommend that anyone who has a seat at a table use their voice. If not, change will never happen.
I love the go where you are celebrated, not tolerated. And so much of what you've said really comes down to worthiness. Whatever it might be, you have to believe that you're worthy of the perfect job, the boundaries around your family life, the salary, the benefits, the table, whatever it might be. But you have to first define it. You have to decide what it is. And then you have to believe that you belong there and you're worthy of it. And it will happen.
100%. And what I've come to realize when I'm talking to ladies, a lot of moms, like we're used to putting everyone else ahead of ourselves and we think about ourselves last. And we don't believe, for some reason, we don't believe that we can do it. We don't believe that we deserve it. Just because we've been told no so many times, it literally got inside of us and festered. And now we don't think we can do it. So you just have to believe in yourself, just exactly like you said, believe in your worth, know that you're top talent. I remember applying for director jobs when I just graduated from college. Like I've always thought that I could get something, right? I've just always had that confidence, even though I never did get that whenever I was younger. No one could ever tell me I wasn't worthy of it. So you just have to know within yourself.
And there's so many studies and surveys out there that show that men have that perspective. And that's one of the reasons that they're generally do better professionally, all the, family stuff aside, but they really will apply for jobs that they don't have the skills for, they don't have the background or experience for, but they believe they can, where women think, ooh, gosh, I got to get another degree. I don't have this. They go through the cans and they just don't have the confidence. And that's mindset.
Exactly. It's a mindset. And this is something, again, that I've been working on probably my entire life. And I thoroughly appreciate the title of your podcast, Flipping the Script, because I feel like that's something that I've lived by since birth. Like I started my life in foster care, right? So I feel like I've been flipping the script since then. Like no one's ever going to tell me that I had to remain where I was. I was going to believe in myself to keep moving forward and get myself out of whatever situation I was in.
How did you get from foster care to, I think I could get a director job before I finished college? Because that you don't hear very often.
You don't, but I would have to credit my adoptive parents for fueling me, my passion, my mindset that I could do anything. And they supported me in whatever strange idea I had that I wanted to do at the time. They were always there to support me. So I had that. Without that, I'm not quite sure where I'd be.
It just feeds into what you're doing now, which is you need to put people around you, whether they live with you or not, people around you who believe that you can do more than you think, because you might start believing it as well. And then who knows what could happen.
Exactly. You have to protect yourself, your mind, against anything that can tell you otherwise, that you're not good enough.
And so many people listen to the voices in their head that they would never use that language or those words or those phrases to strangers, but they say those things to themselves and believe them.
That self-talk it can get you, right? Like, it's so weird. If I get a negative thought in my mind, like I literally have to shut it down. There's no time for negative thinking, because when you focus on the negative, that's what you're going to attract. And when I was laid off, I didn't have time to attract one bit of negativity, because I needed a job. I needed money. I needed to take care of my kids. I didn't want them to know what was happening. But yeah, I just had to remain positive and just ensure that any thought in my head was taking me to the right direction.
So you're listening to what your self-talk is, and the minute that something is there that is negative, we're out with it.
Done. It's that simple. And I say it's that simple because it is for me. And I know it's not for everyone, but you have to start somewhere.
And we said it at the beginning, this is a practice for you. So you don't wake up someday and decide to run a marathon. You have to practice it. So to get to the point where you you recognize a negative thought, you know that it would do damage, and you potentially could believe it, and you shut it down before it takes seed anywhere in your brain or in your soul, that takes practice. And it's a daily routine for you.
Yep. Discipline, daily routine, discipline. And a lot of times, like, I have to go outside for a walk, get some sun or whatever, just to remain in a great mental space, working out, treadmill, just whatever you need to do in order to remain able to think positively. You need to do that. Take time for yourself.
It's not selfish. It's necessary, right?
Definitely not selfish. Like, without taking time for yourself and visualizing what you want, then you do yourself just, injustice.
So 10,000 women in the next 3 years. Yes. Doable?
For sure. It's a robust goal, but again, that's that thing in my head, right? Like, I know we can do it. I'm not going to think otherwise. We are at about almost 500 now. And we have broken that up. We want to get to at least 1,000 this year, and we're going to ramp it up and scale it up next year. But we are definitely tracking towards our goals. We have so many women that we need to impact. 2.1 million women left the paid workforce. And so 10,000 is really just a drop in the bucket, right? So I know that we're going to make our goal, or even, surpass our goal.
And the wonderful thing about each of the women you're impacting is their kids are watching, their kids are learning lessons, their circle of people, other working moms or moms who are no longer working, even though they'd like to be working. But one person, you impact a mother, you impact a whole tribe, and you start impacting tribes, you impact communities, you impact the world.
Exactly.
Well, I know we could talk all day. I want to wrap it up by asking the question I ask everyone at the end of the podcast, which is there a quote or song or something, I suspect it's some kind of positive motivational quote for you that has helped you flip your script, or on those days where the negative talk starts talking a little bit?
So in 2014, I created a vision board. And on that vision board, I had different phrases, like flip your script was one of them, right? Another one is like, reaching for rising stars. A couple of other ones, no boundaries, freedom, all of these things, right? So I keep a journal. I keep those words front of mind for me. I keep my vision board, everything just kind of present so that I don't get distracted. So that's just kind of what I do. I write in my journal. I go back to it. I have one I've been writing in since 2014, but you just have to do whatever is best for you. But for me, having a vision and then creating a plan in order to make it come true.
And surrounding yourself with positive phrases and different quotes at different times of your life so that you are continually as you talked earlier, having that glass half full, continue to have it filled up with positive, important, motivating pieces of wisdom.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. It was wonderful to hear your story, and I will be watching and cheering as you hit 10,000 women that you've impacted and beyond.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
It was a wonderful conversation, and some of the things that Chandra said, there were so many actually that are just little things that you hopefully are going to write down, or if you're in the car, mark it, pull over, write them down so that you can create your own, whether it's a journal or a quote board, surround yourself with people and phrases that fill you up and that motivate you. And the one phrase that really stuck with me, go where you are celebrated, not tolerated. My hope is that Chandra's story empowers you to believe you're capable of more than you think, to discover motivation, to uncover inspiration, and to find the strength to turn the page.
Thank you for listening to Flip Your Script, hosted by Kristi Piehl and produced by Media Minefield. If you like our message, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also check out flipyourscriptpodcast.com for pictures, resources mentioned in the show, and information about our other great episodes.